We are live at 11:05 and it's Friday, the end of the week. I'm off this weekend for a fun-filled weekend. I'm BC with Spirit Cars. Josh, the voice of Spirit Cars, behind the camera there, phone, whatever it is. Soon we're going to actually have a real camera, aren't we? Aren't we looking at different?
Yeah.
We're looking at different options. Try to get this a little more technically advanced and ready to go. And we're back to Larry's car. Been working with Mo. He's buying Curly one, so it's gonna be a surprise. Like all three of them are gonna get together and have a party. But right now we've been working on Larry's interior. We have Fast Eddie's our upholstery guy, and we are glad to have Fast Eddie. When it comes to interiors, it's really what finishes the car. You can have a really, really nice car, and if it's got a nasty interior, it's just never going to be that top quality car. And you can take a pretty nasty car, I mean in the context of, you might have a sleeper in primer car or something like that, but you put a really slick interior in it and a good drivetrain on it, it's a nice car. So you can't really cut corners on the interior, but you can cover for a lot of things. You can just really, the detail comes out in the interior. It's like a rough carpenter. You can stick build a house and you got a whole bunch of stuff there, and it ain't very tolerant. The tolerances aren't really all that close. But when it comes to the finished carpenter, he better have his moldings right with no gaps and seams. So anyway, we're down to the upholstery. We had a council on this. We talked about maybe putting the radio in the dash, and didn't like the console. It didn't fit at all, and it was big and bulky and hung way down. But what happens, you put too much stuff in the dash. These old cars didn't have a lot of stuff in the dash, and it really clutters them up and don't look good. So this one's going to get a overhead console, and we're going to put the radio there. So if you go ahead and look over here, I'll get on this side.
I'll get on.
So we finished. Got it going. We got a wood trim here so we can screw it into. Before you just start putting stuff together, again, it's always think about what's next. Think about what's next. You don't want to have to back up to move forward. So in this case, we have wires for the radio. So we'll need speaker wires, we'll need a constant wire, we'll need a radio wire. So what we did, there's no room in the pillar here to run wires down. This is not a Spirit car. This is a car that Larry brought by. It come from another company, and he's had us to change it up a little bit and get it right in, and we're going to actually make it into a turnkey. So no room here where Spirit normally will run wires up the pillar. This has got a fiberglass top on it, so it's two pieces. There's not a core mat or Nitacore like we would put, but it's got this piece, and then on top of it is the fiberglass. So it's hollow in here. So what we did, we ran the wire down out the back and came in behind here, tucked the wire in, brought the wire out. We're good to go. Same over here, we got the wire come down, tucked it in, brought it out. We're good to go. It's hard to see, but it's behind these panels, and we're going to push it out where we need it. So we thought it out. Now when you hang your console, Larry wanted the top painted, so he wants this color on this. Color here, it'll be slick. This will all be painted and slick. But we're going to upholster this dash, the same kind of, he's going to have a two-tone seat and two-tone interior. So we're going to upholster that. We put these slots up in here with a metal strip. Went ahead and put some tabs here. We've got some screws, but we've got them recessed in there, so we're going to glass over these. This should never have to come off, so this will be glassed over, and it'll be slick in the front. Your hole for the radio will be cut in. Now these just slide up into the tabs here. That holds it pretty tight. It's kind of hard to see right now, but it holds it pretty tight around the front here. And then we'll put a couple screws just in the front here up into that wood. This will be painted slick, and this will be upholstered here, and you'll have your radio overhead console and all your wiring's in there. It'll have a plug on it, so if you ever do need to access your radio, you can either pull the radio out and access, or you can pull the whole console off. Eddie's already put wood panels in here. This will have a trim panel. There's a fiber board that he'll use in this, an interior panel, and cover that. In the back here, we had some issues with our windows. Just the way they did the design, and we just had to really think about it. So on these, you can see we had to widen them a little bit, and you can actually see it a little better on the back. This is still hot. He's just got these done. But it was a little short, so we had to cut it. We had to cut it, and we extended it, and you can see we added this much distance in it, fiberglassed it back together, so now it fits the opening of that window. Before, it didn't even fit the opening of that window. So we've got these trim panels that are going to go on here. The glass is going to urethane to the body. It'll be a clean line on the outside, just a quarter round of the urethane bead. And this just didn't fit right, so we had to extend this down here, so we brought it down a little bit. And now I think what we're going to do is we may urethane it on, or we may double-sided tape this on, because the glass will fill this whole gap. And I don't think a screw is going to look all that good on the edges, so we can glue it in, and if it ever needs to come off, it can come off like you take a windshield off. You can get a knife in there and cut this off. So we're thinking about doing it that way. Again, think about what's next. Everything you do on building a hot rod, think about what's next. And then when you think about what's next, think about what's after that. You know, we're going to have to run a pull lever for the trunk in here. That's going to have to come through here. The wires already came down or running into here for our speakers, or speakers in the back that'll come out here, some of them. This will be a shelf. We've already got the seats fitting in here. We know that's going to work. The way this is designed here, it's just kind of it's just a bolt situation that's loose. If you loosen this and needed to adjust it for the door, you could possibly take that off and it fall off and the screw came out. If we didn't have an access hole, it potentially in the future could be a problem for, maybe not necessarily us because we'll get it ready, but it could be a problem for Larry in the future. For some reason he needs to take the panel off and try to get to that. These panels are in here secure. Now the interior panel is going to go on top of this and be upholstered. So we're going to be upholstered coming up to here. Coming up to here. We'll have carpet on the seat. This is going to be painted all the way around the top. This piece will be painted. Although we talked with Larry, and Larry, if you're watching now live, Eddie and I were talking about this a little bit this morning, how to finish this interior. Now again, there's no one right way, and however you want this, it's good with us. These could be upholstered the same color as the seat. I think like we originally talked about, it'll look better painted to match this. So the way this all is, you were talking about wanting it painted in, this car is going to be black. It's going to be gloss black. It's going to be, and in gloss black, it's got to be straight. It's got to be right. That's just one of them colors that if it ain't right, you can tell it ain't right. We think, it comes down to what you think. If we paint this gloss black in here, it's just going to be too much. We're really thinking going with more of a matte black that's going to match the color of your seat. And there's some different texture products. I'm not talking a thick, heavy, gobby texture, but I could put a little bit of a texture over all of this before we paint it. It'll be rubberized coating or a vinyl type coating that is paintable. So if we had that almost an upholstery texture on the entire top, these ribs will still be here, all this will be here, this will be here, and then we painted a matte color, a black matte color that's going to match your seat color. I think that'll be really, it'd be classy, and it'd be a nice high-end look actually. I've got another panel here. We had another customer with, he's got putting some upholstery in his interior, and he's got to match some lines up. And when you build these cars, in the hot rod world, we didn't work with CMC, the latest. We've always just built this, built that. Like, I mean, this could be closer. You shouldn't have to cut it and extend and do every time, but you think about it and you got to make it work. So again, it's like the rough carpenter builds your stick house, but then the finished carpenter is what makes it look good. So here's kind of a trick I'm going to show you. If you go from that side maybe. And I don't know if this is even going to fit in here. So you see this side of that, let's do it like this. So this is going to go up the side. This is for our Model A coupe. This is a fiberglass panel that we've made, and we've also got a big fiberglass panel for the sedan. This wraps around, so instead of having a separate piece, how in this car it's going to have a piece around the outside of that, this just wraps around. We put a covering on this. When this pushes up, it's going to set right alongside the window, so when it finishes out on the inside of the car, this will be pretty close to the same opening at the window, so you don't see body line on the inside, and you don't from the outside look and see the line from the interior panel. We put a welting on it, and you can see this welting right here. This welting is put on it. So when you cut this and you got your doors, they line up on the top, your door jamb lines up here. Just the distance of this, if I cut it, and this one's not very straight, we'll need to line it up a little bit. But if this is a little bit longer on this side, a little bit shorter on that side, it's going to kind of appear different on your console. So with this welting, you can go ahead and bring the welting below this a little bit to line them up and get everything lined up with this welting on this edge. It's going to show past it a little bit. Another way to do it is you can see this push-on panel. You can push a panel around the edges. There's a bunch of different, Soft Seal makes a bunch of different weather strips. What's another company that does weather strips?
That's the one I knew.
Soft Seal's a big company, and they got a lot of different styles. I know there's an old
Sure, you
Pontiac.
can find some on eBay.
Yeah, you just look around. And a car like this isn't necessarily going to need the same rubber or weather strip around every part of the car. You may need one style going down here. You may need another style down here. You may need another style down here. But on the original cars, all they had was a welting like this in a lot of cases. And when your door closed, it just closed up against. And he's got a rubber tube inside of this, and he just sews the panel around it. So I'm thinking, Larry, you need to really, and I'll probably talk to you in the next week or so. We're moving ahead with this one. Still waiting for an axle. I'm anxiously waiting an aluminum polished, high beam, oval, drilled axle so we can finish up our chassis, get this on. We still need to get our steering column in here. For some reason this was designed to be a right-hand steer car. It's kind of a little different, but so we'll get that modified, get our brake and our steering column in here. Once the chassis is completely finished, Eddie will have all his interior mocked up. And then again, it's especially on a car, this is a car we've never done before. Around here we say it's all the same, only different. On some we manufacture a lot of, once we've done 1, 2, 5, 10, 100. You kind of get the bugs worked out of it, but always look past not just the next thing, but I got to get my hinges on here. So do my hinges fit? Do my hinges fit the door? How am I going to clear? Do I got a problem with any upholstery that's going to be here? Do I have enough clearance if I want to shut the door? Now I got a door handle down here. Am I going to have clearance here? What am I going to do there? Do I have door poppers? On this one we do have power. No, we don't have power windows. We have door poppers.
Yeah, no power windows.
Door poppers, no door poppers. If we do, are we going to put the electric in here? I mean, that's an issue. I need to look at the paperwork right now. I don't think we do have door poppers on this one, but I mean, I'm talking about just the door here, and then you got your alignment around the edges, and just look past the job that you're doing at the moment into how it's going to relate to the next piece. And even if you can, look at the next piece and how that's going to relate to the 2 or 3 other pieces it's going to connect to. And upholstery, it's a different world. Like I said, Fast Eddie, he's really good at it. Been doing it a long time. Matter of fact, we do outside upholstery, don't we? People send us, people send us cars to do upholstery. So if you need your car upholstered, we would be glad to bid on that. I assure you, he doesn't do furniture. If you want to agitate it, Eddie, trying to give him a piece of furniture, that won't happen. He doesn't like both seats, but when it comes to creating an interior for your car, it's a big part of it. So for today, here's Larry's car. It's coming together. Larry will get together and make sure we're going to get right with the kind of matte finish or slick finish or whatever interior colors we're going to go with. We've got a model. We got 2, 3. We got 4. We got 4 turnkeys coming together right now. So I don't think we'll be able to show them all coming together, but we'll show different parts of that. Probably next week we got more on the Model A coupe and probably do some chassis stuff on the 27. We're going to do some paint. I've talked to the paint company. We're going to do some paint and talk about how to prep and how to do all the different chemicals. And so that's coming up next week. We will again try to be consistent about live at 11:05. Sorry we missed yesterday or Thursday, Wednesday, whatever day we missed. But anyway, when you see the yellow book, it means we're coming to the end of our little time here. We're going to go with Pass It On. These are thoughts by the Hot Rod Man. So I just randomly kind of grabbed one of his thoughts. It will be no fun at the top if we don't get any friends or family left when we get there. Wow. So it will be no fun at the top if we don't have any friends or family left when we get there. Hey, there's a song about friends in low places. So he's the guy on the top who's got friends in low places. So I'm glad y'all came with us and visited today. We will see you. Have a good weekend. See you on Monday.